Well, that video took a lot longer than I expected. Anyway, welcome to this side series I figured would help fill in the gaps in between each video essay called Adequate Shorts. Basically, what to expect from this series is shorter, more typical movie reviews, so less analysis in my video essays, and they won't take as much time. They'll be pretty simple editing wise. Basically, just imagine your usual movie review, but in video form and from yours truly. And for the most part, they'll be focusing on movies still in theaters. And I say for the most part because we're starting with one that came out in November. I may have written this back then, but I still have a lot I want to say about it, and it's award season, and this movie's getting a bit more attention now, finally, so I think it's fitting to go back and talk about it. The next videos will also be a bit behind as well. They're going to be on a film festival I went to in October, but I had a really fun time there, and I want to promote it, and there were so many great films I have a lot to say about, and most of them are foreign language, so they haven't really come out as much. So really, I think there's a lot of opportunity to say a lot of things about those, even though it's behind the times. Anyway, with that all out of the way, I hope you enjoy the shorter, more bite-sized version of my content, and let's get on with the review. But first, hey Vogue, you couldn't be more fucking wrong. So when talking about Suspiria, it's important that we acknowledge the original Suspiria, the 1978 horror legend. Part of the 1970s Italian horror boom known as giallo, Dario Argento's 1978 horror staple is a great little horror film that has incredible use of lighting, color, and music that took it from the fun horror film that it may have been written as, and took it to something above that, to be something legendary. But let's be clear, there isn't that much underneath the surface of the original. Like, sure, it's very pretty, it's enjoyable, it's fun and intense, but it doesn't really serve much besides being a very stylish horror film. It's not like it's bad, not at all, it's great, but it just doesn't quite get to the level of masterpiece that I think some have put it on. It's a film meant to be more of a horror escape than any sort of bigger thing, but this remake wanted to be more. The film purposefully shrugs off the original film's main draw of its color palette for a mostly brown and red palette, giving it a purposely grungy look. It immediately sets itself apart as if to say, you are not going to get the same experience in any way. And honestly, it works spectacularly well. Luca Guadagnino, director of I Am Love, A Bigger Splash, and Call Me By Your Name, which was my favorite film of 2017, brings us a film that is perfectly obtuse. Also, if I mispronounce his name, it's really hard. Seriously, you try it.
Luca.
As expected with one of his films, he takes what is originally a dirty palette and turns it into this sort of canvas. It smears the colors into this emotional meaning, like a giant Rothko, with the blood red color palette providing a symbolic contrast to the dust brown walls. It all works just sort of wonderfully. The score by Goblin in the original is hard to beat, and I don't think this one quite beats it, but Tom York's incredible score here is excellent as well, and certainly one of the best of the year, up there with Johan Johansson's final score for Mandy. The mix of beautiful tracks that evoke the sounds of Radiohead's more depressing ballads to the bizarre instrumental soundscapes he makes all total into this unique Yorkian experience. Then again, I'm such a Radiohead stan that I even like Pablo Honey, so maybe don't listen to me. The acting as well is wonderful, with Dakota Johnson delivering one of her most demanding performances to date, while delivering her lines with distinct purpose. It's a great role for her, and I'm glad she's no longer tied to making 50 Shades sequels and can now focus on projects she clearly wants to put more into, like this. Mia Goth, meanwhile, takes full range of her performance, strangling out some of the most emotive scenes in a horror film all year. You can read the agony across her face. You can feel the trembles she feels. You can hear her breath hitch. It's almost as if the actress felt as if she was in actual danger. But nothing compares to Tilda Swinton in this film. I went into this film not aware that Tilda Swinton did something special for the role. It's not a spoiler, so I think it's fair game to say, but it was really cool watching the film with no idea, so if you want to go in blind, I recommend you don't look at the IMDb page for the film or watch any interviews with Tilda and see it immediately. and to also skip here. Okay, ready? So Tilda Swinton plays an old man in the film. Really? She plays 3 parts, and I could only tell one of them. And even that main one was one of her best performances ever, in my opinion. But no, not only is the makeup job on her as the Doctor incredible, her performance itself as a Doctor is one of the best of the year, hands down. The fact she's able to pull 3 incredible characters out of herself in one film and do them all at her peak level of performance shows us that she truly is one of the greatest actors of our generation. Just one of Tilda Swinton's best moments in cinema, period. But see, the thing I adored most about this film was how it differed from the original. See, as much as they do base themselves on the same plot, it's easy to say that 2 films are completely distinct entities in terms of delivery and purpose. And easily, the biggest example I can think of is how the setting is framed. See, something interesting to look back on in retrospective viewings of Suspiria is the fact that the Italian film, mostly acted by English-speaking actors, is set in Berlin in the 70s. And if you weren't aware, Berlin was kind of going through a lot then. In the original, they don't even really mention any of that stuff going on. It's not a political film. It's not meant to comment on those things. But this film wastes no time pointing that out, and the film kind of hinges on it. It's a film that's about power, control, and what's more evocative than a giant wall that separates families between 2 world powers where atrocities are regularly committed by police. The ghosts of the Holocaust still haunt the area of Berlin as well, and we see its remnants in our characters. The film takes the 3rd act reveal of the original and brings it up front and personal. Yes, they are witches. It's a coven, but it doesn't matter if we know it or not. There's such a stranglehold that even trying to tell other people could result in your destruction. It's cruel totalitarianism, and they enact their vengeance brutally. It's a metaphor. I like metaphors. And when I refer to their vengeance as brutal, I mean it. This film has some of the most disturbing imagery I've seen in a film all of 2018. And 2018 gave us Hereditary, so that's fucking saying something. I can't even describe the body horror present in this film, just... If you've seen it, you know what scene I'm talking about. It's the kind of scene that Amazon used for marketing by referring to it as that scene and showing people getting violently ill watching it. Yeah, it's that bad.
Well, I didn't have lunch yet. And I may have to skip lunch now.
It's a film about how power can be used for evil, how it can twist into cruel vengeance, the power of guilt. And it does all this gripping story that grabs you and won't let you go. All of the shots are so gorgeous, and Luca Guadagnino has not dropped the ball at all. Suspiria is easily one of the best films of 2018. I've seen it so long ago, and yet I still remember so much of it. A lot of people are not going to like this, and I get that. While Suspiria of 1978 was a crowd-pleasing establishment of giallo, what 2018 Suspiria is something far more necessary for today. Luca Guadagnino's Suspiria gets a 9 out of 10. If those in powers ask you who will be their reckoner, may we the oppressed yell back,
I am she.